Fish Boxes, the Whisky Tasting Game.
Zero,
50,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0.
Hello and welcome to Damp Rocks and Fish Boxes, the Whisky Tasting Game. This is the podcast where two wannabe whiskey wordsmiths compete to be the Wordsworth of the water of life, all the W's there. I'm your host, Joe Lindley, and with me are our whiskey tasters, Ralph Connolly.
Hello.
And Nathy Connolly.
Hello.
Hello, guys. What's new with you? Any exciting news this week?
Quite a lot of sort of trauma and death round by us because it's spring and there are a lot of baby birds and baby animals about. So our cats have been having a field day killing them.
Oh, shit.
And yeah, it's very sad. There's been a bit of drama with a baby blackbird that tried to fly the nest this morning and its parents have been flapping around the undergrowth. The cats haven't got it yet, but I'm not hopeful for it.
Oh,
A somber note to start the podcast this week.
Yeah, well, and then to add to it, we were out for a walk just before we started recording, and we came across some girls who'd found a baby, something or other, like a shrew or a mouse or something, that it was nearly dead. And to be honest, I think someone else had probably had that as well, and they weren't sure whether to leave it or to try and resuscitate it. So it's been pretty brutal.
Bloody hell, this is the flip side of spring, isn't it? It's not all about new life,
Yeah.
It's about the new life dying.
Well, on the wildlife theme, I had to help I tried to help a lamb back into the field today that had got out. It was in my garden. And then it got tangled up in some barbed wire fence, and they're bloody strong, I tell you. You can see why they're good eating quite quickly, because they're pretty hefty little buggers. But
Did you get him in?
He managed to extricate himself, to be honest.
Did he have big balls?
He did have fairly sizable knackers for. He was probably born in February, so 3 months ago, maybe 4 months.
Yeah, I spotted a few of that ilk when I've been out and about.
But yeah, all good. It was just entertainment through and through.
How are you, Joe? Anyway, what have you been up to?
I'm fine. As you guys can see, I'm on the boat. I've been moving my boat along today, so you might hear some quacks of ducks in the background. It just made me think of one of my most exciting canal incidents when a family of ducklings, well, my boat got in between the mother and the ducklings, and then I was trying to get out of the way, but inadvertently washed them down a hole, and I then had to spend quite a long time rescuing them. I did get them out in the end.
Well, it seems like a happier ending than Nathy's bird stories, but bloody hell, this is all...
No, mine isn't sad yet. Mine's hanging in the balance. It's to be fair, I was probably misselling it. It wasn't tragedy. It was more high drama and tension.
Wow.
Which is hopefully what this podcast will be like.
Yes. Well, that's a neat segue there, Nathy. So, have you guys got your trivia ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's hear your trivia, Ralph.
Well, to be honest, it's not actually trivia. Well, it is a bit of trivia, I suppose, but it's more of another one of those discussions. Just want to ask you guys, I mean, do you feel like a sense of place really matters when you're drinking your bottle of single malt whiskey? You really care about where this comes from and how it's produced. Is that something that's important to you?
Oh, absolutely.
I'd say yes, but then not always. I do care if I've been to the place. If I've never been, I find it hard to sort of imagine what it would be like to be there. So,
well, the reason I ask is I think I already knew this, to be honest, but I was reading about it again recently. I just happened to come across something. Basically, did you know that both of the Diageo whiskies that are distilled on Islay are not matured there? Well, predominantly anyway, I think.
really?
I don't know how long afterwards it takes for them to be ready to be put in the cask, but I think basically they're just bunged into a tanker and taken off to somewhere near Stirling or whatever, which leads me to think that probably all the rest of them, like Talisker, isn't aged on Skye either.
Wow.
Let's just check that with our non-existent lawyers before we put it out.
Well, I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just assuming, but I think it is definitely a well-established fact that the other two aren't, and the majority of all the other ones that are either are. So I don't know. I mean, apparently it doesn't make any difference, and I don't.
So all that bloody salty sea breeze that we've been catching in those is
yeah, this is it.
all
If
for
you look on
nothing.
your Talisker bottle, it says made by the sea, which is, I guess, in a sense, accurate if it were the case that it was matured elsewhere. But I don't know. I suppose it just raises the question of it's all a bit of bullshit, isn't it?
Does Diageo just have like one big central maturation place for all of the whiskey?
I think they have a few. I mean, you've seen that documentary we were talking about, the first episode on that. I think he goes to that, and it's like got gazillions of whiskey.
Yeah, and to be fair, it's bloody enormous. I'm not. Yeah, you probably take up the whole of Islay if they had it on Islay, wouldn't they?
Probably would. What is that documentary for anyone listening? I've forgotten.
Scotch, the story of whiskey, with a little-known Scottish actor called David Hayman, who I've never really seen anything else. I think he was in a radio play of Kidnapped by Robbie Louis Stevenson. Is the only thing I've ever come across him in.
Bonus trivia there. Well, anyway, that thing, if you look it up, I think you can find a probably legally dubious copy on YouTube, but it's well worth a watch if you're into your whiskey. Scotch.
He was also in Taboo, I think, with Tom. What's he called? Just cut this bit out later on, Joe. I can't remember what it's called.
Anyway, the trivia there was, I think, like I say, I already knew that, but it's an interesting conversation point. I would say. I think it kind of adds to the nonsense around whiskey, but also, does it matter? Probably not. I think
in a way it's sort of getting down to the nitty gritty of maybe what we mean when we're talking about poetry, because it's not actually literally lyrical poetry. It's a kind of poetic take on the provenance of the whiskey, which lends it an extra quality that it otherwise wouldn't. I mean, if it just said made by the sea and transported to a warehouse in Stirling, that's not as evocative.
But it's like the Nurofen thing, though, isn't it? You need the placebo effect to give it that extra. It's going to have more effect on you, and you're going to enjoy it more if you sort of conjure up an image of it being sitting on top of a cliff on one of the islands.
Yeah.
Back on David Hayman, he was in Taboo with Tom Hardy. That was it.
Wow. Never seen
BBC drama from. It was all right. 2017.
Yeah, excellent. All right, Nathy, what's your trivia then?
My trivia. So I'm going to take you back to the dawn of the amber nectar. To ask you, do you know what year was the first record of Scotch whiskey in Scotland, or any whiskey in Scotland for that matter?
14 something.
Whoa, 14. I'm going to guess. I think that's way too early. 1680.
Wow, no, Ralph's right. 1494.
Shit,
in the Exchequer Rolls of Scotland, Friar John Core is given 8 ball of malt to make aquavita, which is enough for 1,500 bottles. I think the interesting thing about this fact is that the first recorded evidence of whiskey in Ireland was 1405. And given that there's loads of records from the 15th century in Scotland, it indicates that it was probably imported from Ireland sort of towards the end of the 15th century.
I had heard that. Yeah, I think they can lay claim to that, but not anymore.
How do you mean not anymore? History's history, Ralph.
It's got, obviously Ireland's got its place in whiskey history, but I think Scotland has really run with it.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I'm not. Nobody would claim that otherwise.
But I like Irish whiskey for all those Irish whiskey people out there.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's a very interesting fact as well. I'm going to note these down and judge them later because, both good. Upping your trivia games.
And don't forget, I had the bit about Taboo and David Hayman as well.
True.
I had the kidnapped Robbie Louis Stevenson. He's actually in other stuff. I think he was in some naff film with Timothy Spall recently about old people getting it on. Can I have another trivia point?
What's that film?
Finding Your Feet, I think it is. Are you doing fact checking?
No, I'm making notes.
I mean, I don't waste too many minutes on it.
Well, I'm just overwhelmed by the level of the trivia here, especially the non-whiskey trivia. It's excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. By the way, I went to a pub quiz last week, and we should have won, but we came second by like 1 point. got 30 quid's worth of booze. I wasn't drinking, so that was useless for me. But interestingly, it was mostly some sort of students, fairly young students at this event, and people complained about the quizmaster because he was swearing, and then the publican was having a go at him and saying you can't do that, and it just seemed so strange. It was a perfectly normal pub quiz. The guy was swearing, but that's sort of normal.
What, was he having a go at the quizzer or the quizmaster?
The publican was having a go at the quizmaster, saying, look, you're getting complaints and you can't swear. Which I just found very strange.
Well, it's a bit like
was it excessive swearing then, or was it just the odd swear word?
He was doing it quite a lot, and there was a bit of the C-bomb going around, but it wasn't. I didn't think it was unusual. Anyway, just a quick recap on the game. We're still incredibly close, despite being multiple rounds in. We're only separated by half a point. It's 56 plays 56 and a half. Who's got what? Can you remember?
He's got the half.
Ralph is half a point in front. And I'd say we're about halfway through the series now, so still everything to play for. Quick recap on the rules. There's 5 points on the table for each of the core categories, which is how you're describing the whiskey in terms of intrigue, poetry, and accuracy. And then there's 1 point each for the whiskey region, how old it is, its distillery, its strength, and a bonus of 1 if you get all of those right. And you also have the damp rocks and fish boxes bonus up for grabs. So if you deploy that phrase carefully and correctly, you may get a bonus, but an incorrect deployment will result in a penalty. The one with the most points at the end of the season will win the £150 bottle of whiskey. Is that all clear?
Yeah, I think so.
Certainly is.
I have to say I'm feeling pretty apprehensive on the back of the last time out.
Yeah, blend week has really thrown a cat amongst the pigeons. I was, because it just wasn't on my radar. I mean, that's my excuse for not getting fucking deal with any of them. But I think this week you're going to be going, shit, it'll be harder, I think, knowing that we've got a wider playing field.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm getting at. I don't really feel confident. Well, I didn't before anyway, but I definitely don't now, even speculating what this thing might be. So,
well, this will be interesting. Are we in Scotland? Are we a blend?
Oh,
is it even whiskey? So, pour yourselves a dram, guys, of what's codenamed DRFB10.
Can I just rewind a bit as well? So the conclusion to the pub quiz story was that you sending out a plea for less swearing, or?
Oh, I thought it might be an interesting quip, but I'm not good at telling stories, so I'm just going to cut it out.
Podcast gold.
Right, should we pour the whiskey?
I am confident now. I'm going to say this is not. If it is a blend, it's not a cheap blend. It smells pretty banging.
So I'm just swirling it around the glass, failing to find any bloody legs as usual, but I think that's more. Again, I'm not really on great light in this room, but yeah, I think it's got that kind of linseed oil.
Boiled linseed oil, would you say?
Yeah, light boiled linseed oil.
I don't know if non-boiled is any different. I tell you what, actually, before we get on to heather, because I'm sure that is going to be busting out in a minute. Honestly, I've been running past some heather bushes. Are they bushes? Yeah, I think they are, aren't they? Quite
Gorse or
recently.
heather?
No, I think definitely straight up heather. I've been meaning to grab a sample, but I meant to do it last time we were meant to be recording, just so I could really bring it in. I might do it next week anyway.
I look forward to it, Ralph. Bringing the heather literally into the room would be excellent.
I don't think I can really fact check whatever shit Nathy's thrown out.
You could bring some Gorse to contrast with as well.
And some flat beer.
Yeah, it'd be good, because I don't think, let's face it, none of us know what any of these things really smell like, so it'd be good to.
I know I'm definitely going to be boiling some linseed oil shortly. There was an interesting note on the colour of this, actually, which I'd be curious if you could pick it up. I mean, obviously it's whiskey coloured, but is there anything beyond that?
I think light. I think it's lighter than. It's not noticeably caramelly, is what I would say.
Yeah, I'd possibly say there's no colour in.
That I think is unlikely.
So on the nose, I'm getting fruits.
Fruits?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's dried fruits. It went a bit musty at the back. Quite fresh.
Yeah, I'm getting fresh floral notes. Usual. I feel like I say the same stuff each week, but to be fair, most whiskies have similar descriptions, so
There's
it's
a
not
bit
surprising.
of a musk.
I'm getting citrus. Something. What is that? Maybe blueberries.
Blueberries. Wow.
That's interesting. I've never heard blueberries before.
I'm also getting quite, creamy. Yeah, creamy, slightly. I wouldn't say.
Yeah, I'm thinking vanilla fruits. I don't know. It smells pretty pleasant anyway. The usual shit we said in all the ones. Honey.
You can't just say the stuff I've said before. Like,
it smells of whiskey. There is an interesting thing, but I really can't put my finger on what the hell it is. It's quite. There's a load of sweetness, creamy. Well, not creaminess necessarily, but then there's this weird tang.
I'm getting a touch of leather, maybe sandals.
would you say there's any battery acid?
What you mean, like phenolic smells?
I wouldn't. Not on the nose.
Not phenolic. What's the other? Ethanol. Is that? But no, that's just alcohol, isn't it?
That's just alcohol. No, the battery acid's more. Well, I put some in my mouth a couple of weeks ago. It was very tangy.
Why?
I got it on my hands without realising, and then put my hand in my mouth.
Yeah, I'm not giving this back. Maybe a touch of machine oil, but no discernible battery acid.
Didn't kill you anyway. You seem to be.
I'm pretty
Right,
sure.
lads.
Pretty sure it didn't help, but I'm still alive and kicking. You put it in your mouth, Nathy.
Yeah, we've been dancing around this one long enough. I'm going for it.
I'm going to give it a slurp as well.
Nathy kept that in his mouth for a while, I think. Which leads me to think it's probably 10 years.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was. I'm getting sort of caramel, cinder toffee, touch of spice, but not. Maybe raisins more than spice. Ooh. Not getting any smoke.
Yeah, it's definitely. I sort of agree. I think not any smoke.
It's nice, whatever it is. Yeah, I'm doubling down on the fruits. There's a hint of dried fruit.
Dried.
Dried cherry.
Which ones? Cherries, pineapples, oranges.
No, not that stuff.
It's not. Yeah, it's not tropical fruit. I think we're in the.
Not maybe Christmas end of the spectrum.
Damsons? Plums, actually. Quite a lot of plum.
Possibly, yeah. But I don't know. Are you saying spice? I've not really got any spice. It's just fruity.
Not strong spice. Not like sort of star anise or anything like that. Just.
I'm not getting the spice.
Right. Anyway, I came this week vowing to really bust out some poetry, but I've not. It's not made by the sea anyway.
No. It's not got. It's got that kind of.
I'm sort of teasing you with battery acid. Is there any intriguing ways of describing it that you could go for?
I think it's what it makes me think of. It makes me think of maybe like a mature lady of means who knows what she likes and knows how to get it. Fix herself up a dram of this, swish it round her mouth.
There's a song by a divine comedy called, I think, Lady of a Certain Age, which I think is about what you just described.
Well, sticking with the lady theme, I would say this is quite elusive.
Lady of the night.
Well, yeah, it could be any age. What I mean by that is I think it's a no age statement, and I think, it could be mutton dressed as lamb. It's probably lamb just trying to be mutton to shift a few units and bring in some quid.
Are you getting any nuts?
Don't think so.
Nutty.
Oh, I think there's a bit of pecans. You could have pecans.
I'm not getting any of those these. They're all quite sort of rich.
You could have pecan, but I'd be surprised if you said it had pecan in it, which you're now going to go and do. I don't know it, but
What about pecan pie with a lemon wedge?
No.
No.
What, like the
No, not getting that.
what's the what are the dried ones of those? Do you get glacé lemons? No, that's cherries, isn't it?
You get preserved lemons.
Yeah, but they're in jars and you chuck them in.
They are
savoury things. Yeah, I'm thinking more the sweetie ones that are a bit like jelly tots, or but they're not. You know, what are the other ones? Fruit pastels. Anyway, this is down a fucking side alley. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, back on the elusive lady of the night, who I can't tell what it is or how old it is.
I think the odd thing is I often think, I know exactly what ballpark this whiskey is in, and then it turns out to be nothing like it. But I sort of feel like I've had ones, you could go for a sort of run-of-the-mill.
You getting any straw?
Yeah, great point, actually. I think that could be the elusive.
There's a slight sort of earth. Not earth, I don't know, it's and again, I'd hesitate to say bitter, but it's quite sweet, but not over sweet, I wouldn't say. And then there's this.
I think on that note, pickled walnut.
Ooh, there's the nuts again with the pickle.
Yeah, but just with a bit of bite to it, in terms of flavour, not crunch.
I've just got sun-dried tomatoes, but not the tomato bit. That you know that sort of funky smell you get off of sun-dried tomatoes.
Oh, I do. Yeah, and they've gone all crystalline.
I've just got that, but it definitely isn't tomatoes. But it's that of that ilk.
I think that's it's whatever kind of acid is in tomatoes. Maybe it's like acetic acid or something.
Is that intriguing?
Hence the pickled walnut.
Yeah, it's quite intriguing. I wrote it down in the intrigue box, Ralph.
I think that's all I've got for intrigue. I mean, yeah, this thing, because it's definitely like got bags on Glenfiddich. It's not as boring as that, but it's quite a gentle Speyside Highlands, maybe. This is what I'm saying.
Is it making you feel poetic at all?
It's making me feel about as poetic as Phil Daniels asleep. Is that any good for you?
Do you know, I was once waiting at a bus stop in Edinburgh, and Phil Daniels was waiting for the same bus. He was wearing a tracksuit.
In Scotland, of all places.
In Scotland. It was during the Edinburgh Fringe, and he's exceedingly short.
Yeah, I think I could have told you that. Not that I would have known, but I think my sense of him is he's quite short. Anyway, that's about as much poetry as I've got, is that I am feeling as poetic as Phil Daniels whilst asleep.
Fair enough. That's bowing out gracefully.
Yeah, I feel like that leaves it to me to get stuck into the poetry. I mean, as I stare at this in the glass, I'm going to choke. It's the 8th Mile thing again, isn't it? Be rabbit.
I'd say it's quite fitting for the weather, you know. And I don't mean it's hot and refreshing. I just mean it's quite pleasant, lively. Puts you know.
It's not very refreshing. I think it's quite heavy.
No, but not a lot of whiskies are refreshing, really, unless you mix them with something. But what I mean by that is it's quite light and happy and golden, and you know, it's very pleasant. It's like a summer's day.
Would you put this one in a highball, you know, just with some soda or something?
Maybe, yeah. I was drinking I'd a good few highballs on Saturday. The thing about highball is you think you're doing yourself a favour, but you're not. You just drink the same amount of whiskey but with water mixed. And
I was going to say, I mean, I'm probably walking into a trap here, but no, I wouldn't. I don't think it's quite that kind of whiskey. I think because basically what I would put in a highball is a blend, possibly a nice blend, but I don't. Unless this is Blend Week Part 2, which it could well be.
What the fuck is that? Honestly, can I just say my intrigue is there's something mad. I'm going to say coconut, actually.
Coconut?
Coconut.
I get cocoa. What's that? Cacao nib?
Cocoa nibs, yeah.
Cocoa nibs, is that how you pronounce it?
Whatever the sun-dried tomato thing is also manifesting as a coconut. It's pretty weird. I can really.
Which bit of coconut, like the husk or the flesh or desiccated?
No, I'm thinking more like on the processed end. Either I won't say necessarily full-blown milk.
Ooh, I tell you what, I'm getting off it, Ralph, is like coconut oil when you cook with it, which has got
maybe,
a very slight Slight coconut overtone. I like that.
Yeah, I'll have that. But then I'm just... I mean, is it intriguing that I am intrigued by this? I really don't know what the hell it is or what I can smell.
It is intriguing. It is intriguing. Do you want to hazard some guesses to write down what you think it is for?
Yeah, I'll go for it.
Age, region, distillery, and strength.
It's nice though.
Tell you what, I'll give you a bonus if you can get the price on the nose.
Well, I mean that'd rely on knowing what it is.
Well, you're going to guess what it is as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
How old is it? It could be anything, couldn't it?
Is it venerable?
What I would say is, I think you guys should back yourselves. You're actually quite good at this, and so I know you're confused, but probably if you go with your gut, I don't think you're going to be that far off.
I'm confident in. I'm confidently not confident, but I've got. I don't know. I think I've got a fair idea what I think it could be. Well, obviously I've written it down, so I know what I think it is.
Very good. New feature this week: we're going to score the whiskey individually before I tell you what it actually is. So, Ralph, what would you give it out of 5?
3, maybe 3.5.
Okay, well, it's your system. You've got to come down hard on 3 or 4.
All right, 3.
3, but maybe a high 3.
Yeah, high 3.
Yeah, I'm saying I would be a low 3. I think I'd give it. I think it's a pretty square 3, but I think I would give it a low 3, like maybe nearer a 2.
Would have been interesting to do this on Blend Week because we'd look like complete dicks.
I still can't get over the fact that it was probably because we'd had several drams, but by the time we got to the Tesco one, you guys were like, yeah, it's nice. It's really not. It's rough. It's really rough.
No, I'll go back to neat. First crack out of the box.
Yeah, I'll go back to it when I've had nothing at some point.
You should. So, are you ready to tell me what you got?
Yeah, I'm
Do
ready.
you want to go first?
I am saying, I think this is a Dalwhinnie, Winter's Gold, no age statement, Highland.
I got you. Good guess.
Interesting.
How strong would that be?
40.
Okie dokie. Nathy.
I am gonna go Arbor 12, 40% Speyside.
Got you.
I've just got a bit of, those bananas you get.
I was gonna say banana earlier, but I held back. But you think so?
Well, you know those, the dried ones?
Oh, like chips, banana chips.
Yeah, banana chips.
Banana is a kind of classic Speyside-y thing, isn't it? You get a sort of whiff of banana sometimes. Well, I'm pleased to tell you that you're both wrong. It is a whiskey I know you both had, though. It's the Old Pulteney 12.
What the fuck?
Oh, do you know what? I was cheating a bit, and I nearly bloody, because I was like, I'll just have a quick gander on the supermarket, see what's on offer this week.
Sneaky.
Which in Tesco's, 24 quid. Gamesmanship, Joe. 24 quid club card. Old Pulteney 12. I should have, but I've never drunk it before, so I don't. Or I've had it once, or like.
I mean, I would have that.
I've never had a bottle.
As one of my 5 or 6 desert island drams. I bloody love it. Yeah, the first time I ever had that, again, being pulled in by the marketing bullshit, there's some talk of like sea salt in that, which I think that's what that funk thing is. It's not sea salt at all, but that's and I was definitely buying into that the first time I had it, and I've never quite had it the same since. But yeah, that elusive weird thing twist it's got at the end, I think was what was pulling me in last time.
It's interesting. I mean, I noted down, Ralph, that you said the words "not made by the sea," and the marketing bump is the maritime whiskey.
No, that was a joke about you saying the poetic shit about Talisker and Made by the Sea. I was just chucking that in there as an example of some crap poetry. But
well, fair enough.
To be fair, I didn't think it was Made by the Sea anyway. So
no. I mean, it's interesting that they make a big deal out of it, and that they're all on about the saltiness and stuff. We didn't get any salty this week. Weirdly enough, though, I just checked official tasting notes: dry banana skin.
Oh, Yeah, no, I'm now getting those like shrimp
That is good.
smells.
Picking some shrimp up.
No, but you know, like the sweetie shrimp.
Oh, yeah, I think it's a very sweet whiskey. I mean, if I may say so, back on this Tesco's, whatever it was, I think in my memory the Tesco tasted a little bit like this. Like quite kind of toffee chocolate.
Yeah, there was
Sort of
that was the one I think I said was panettone.
Do you want a quick rundown on some of the official shit on this one? So I think we've got medium to high intensity, which I don't know really what that means, but dry with a briny hint of sea air, sweet, floral, citrus, lemon, lime, dry banana skin, smooth and faintly salty. Elsewhere we've got it described as honeycomb vanilla tablet. Tablet's that Scottish sugar stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, is it like fudge or something?
Yeah, vanilla tablet, soft sawdust,
I nearly fucking said sawdust.
oatcakes, and then on the palate, chocolate peanuts, mint, citrus peels, maritime elements, and white pepper. Maybe, well, you did mention spice, didn't you? But I don't know if that's a Christmas spice. And then finishing on toffee, brine, and lemon.
So brine quite heavy there, and I specifically said no brine.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, when I'm primed with it, I can see what they mean with the brine, but I think it's actually in a different way to, say, something like Talisker. It's more of just like a balance of the savoury and sweet. It's kind of like a lemon meringue pie where you've not put any sugar in the pastry, but the rest of it's sweet. It's that weird umami-ness to it, maybe.
I think you need to get on the other side, and that's pretty, well,
That was a
poetic
really
and
nice description.
evocative. I think I know what you're on about.
There was very little poetry on this one. I couldn't find any reference poetry, so I've concluded that this whiskey doesn't inspire poetry at all. But what there was is on the edge of the bottle is kind of a story of when Wick was the kind of herring capital of Europe, and so there was these millions of silver fish being unloaded, and when the fishermen got home, they'd have their dram of old Pulteney.
Is that what silver darlings are?
Silver darlings, yeah, I think that's right. Yeah,
It is, yeah.
yeah, no actual poetry, just a story about fishing again. I've started to think that most of the stories about whiskey resolve to fishing.
Probably, I think, yeah.
It also says here, though, some say that back in the day, our wash still had to be shortened to fit in the still house, resulting in an unusual shape today.
It looks like the bottle, doesn't it? I think that's what they try and claim. I like the bottle, and I like the whiskey, and now...
You want to bump it up to a 4 now, don't you?
No, I am going to bang it up to a 4, because I think, again, it's like the Lafroig 10 for the price. It's fucking great.
Yeah, 24 quid was a bargain. I didn't need a Tesco club card either. I got it from somewhere else. Yeah. And it also says something about distilled and matured by the sea. So maybe this is matured by the sea.
No, this definitely is. I'll tell you for why. Because when I bought a non-aged one that had been finished in casks that had previously held peated whiskey. So I bought a bottle for Christmas a couple of years ago. And I did extensive research into Old Pulteney, and there's a load of warehouses there, so that is definitely true. That was a long way of saying yes, it's matured on site.
Well, they say distilled and matured by the sea, the liquid in our casks is cocooned by salty air swept ashore on Arctic winds. So there we go. Right, how are we going to score this then? You're saying you would go up to a 4, Ralph, which I think that's too high myself. What about you, Nathy?
Yeah, I wouldn't budge from a 3. I don't think. Like, I think it's nice, but I'm not loving it. Like,
no, I'll tell you for why as well. It's very drinkable, but it's interesting.
no, for sure it's accessible, but I mean, given we gave Bell's a 3, it does seem a bit tight giving it a 3. But
yeah, but I mean, Bell's is a 3 in the context of Bell's. You see what I mean?
yeah, and true, and you can sometimes pick up Talisker for 25 quid, like the Talisker 10 for 25 quid. And I'd as our benchmark for, personally, I don't think this is anywhere near as nice as Talisker.
I do. I think it's just it doesn't present the same up front.
Oh, this is a toughie.
Gnarly. Oh yeah, sorry, we've got to agree on something, haven't we? So what are we saying? 3.5. We have to say.
Well, we can't say 3.5.
Go a high 3. You could twist my arm and say high 3.
I'm not budging from 4, so. No.
I'm going to say 2. No, refute. No, I'm joking. Joe, you be the adjudicator here. That's the...
Well, if you did say 2, then I could adjudicate it was a 3, which is what I want to give it.
Yeah, but also, if we vote, majority rules, it'd still be a 3.
Do that, but the listener will know I'm right when they try it.
All right. It's getting a 3, but listeners, Ralph thinks it's a 4. There we go.
It's really nice. I'm enjoying it a lot.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. A real bargain at 24 quid. I think I've seen it like in the mid-30s as well, and I'd probably be reluctant to buy it at that price. But yeah. So I need to score you guys. I mean, when it comes down to specifics, Ralph got 1, 40%. Nathy got 2, 40%.
No. I got Highland.
Ooh, you cheeky little devil, you did. So you both got 2. Sorry about that, Ralph.
I got 12 years old and 40%.
I think you said it was 10 years old.
Yeah, because I said Arbor 12,
No,
didn't I?
you're right, you did. I'll give you that.
I need to just review what we've got here. We've got... Honestly, Nathy, I like what you're coming out with the blueberries, the cream, the caramel, cinder toffee, raisins, plum, pickled walnut. But...
You're not buying it, are you?
It's like scattergun again. It's just like a load of stuff. Ralph's a bit more targeted. We've got fruits. Not sure if they're dried. Fresh.
I think I said lemon, let's not forget.
He did.
He
did. He said lemon. I'll give him that.
Notes.
You did say lemon, but you said a load of other stuff which wasn't down. Ralph got the rather more ethereal banana.
Yeah, and as we all know, I thought about saying banana and just held back at the last minute.
The other thing is, I know when you said you were also going to go off piece, Joe, given that you picked up on the coconut vibe, I think I should have a point for that as well.
Yeah, I've noted it down. And as we're developing this, I think the scoring is, in many ways, I mean, it's just which I like, which descriptions I like the most.
There are no right or wrong answers, but I agree with you that Nathy's just chatting shit.
Not tropical. You said not tropical, Ralph. I'm not sure if I agree with that. You also said not made by the sea.
I think I said not tropical, which I...
No, I said I thought it was on the dried end, maybe Christmas. What fruits other than banana are they giving you in the official?
Citrus, lemon and lime, and dried banana skin.
I mean, dried banana skin. How the hell does anyone know what the fuck that tastes like?
That's true, because that's definitely going to be different to banana chips, isn't it?
But the skin, why would I ever? Does that thing actually? You know, you meant to smoke banana.
Oh, you didn't pick up on the thing they said about the colour is that it's got a hint of like a pink hue. Not sure. When they described it as peach pip.
It's hard to say. I haven't got the light on, and it's the gloaming where we are.
Okay, poetry. I've got as poetic as Phil Daniels' Asleep versus As I Stare in the Glass, No More. So I think...
No, can I just do Nathy a favour? He was talking about some lady at some point.
I put that in intrigue.
Oh, okay.
The lady of memes.
I think it's quite intriguing. It's intriguing and poetic, that, so it's a double whammy. So I don't mind picking up sort of points for both sides of it. Two sides of the same coin.
I'm pitting as poetic as Phil Daniels' Asleep against As I Stare at This Glass, and that's going to be 3 plays 0. And then I'm pitting an elusive lady, mutton dressed as lamb, versus the lady of means. Who's the most intriguing? I think Nathy pips that one, but it's kind of close. I'm going to go Nathy 3, Ralph 2. Then
Can I also rewind again and give Nathy a leg up? I think, what was it, As I Stare at This Glass? I think that could be quite a good opening line for a poem.
When I said it, it was me choking, but when Joe read it back, it sounded pretty poetic, didn't it? As I stare at this glass, ... I mean, I'm sure that was in the anthology, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit like As I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud or whatever. I don't know why I'm trying to give you points, but I quite liked it. It sounded interesting to me.
it's the kind of thing where if it was played for and got, I would give you credit for it, but it wasn't. You've admitted that.
Okay.
It was an accidental piece of genius. So 0 points. Lady of Means, however, going to take one back from Ralph. And then we've got Pickled Walnuts versus Not Made by the Sea. Weird Tang versus Cinder Toffee.
Sun-dried tomatoes, is that on the intrigue?
I put that down in intrigue. Yeah, I've kind of lumped it in with your elusive
Which
lady.
I think is quite briny, really.
What? What's briny? Sun-dried tomato, or the elusive lady?
No, the elusive one, she might be, but no, it's just the saltiness of the sun-dried tomato and the saltiness of the brine.
You're being very nice to each other. I mean, that would be points for Ralph.
That wasn't the vibe I was going for, though. I will say, as Joe, that wasn't playing for that. It was that weird taste you get from sun-dried tomatoes that I was getting. But it wasn't a tomato taste.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to separate you on this one. It's the accuracy was, it was a fine effort. If you could get away with saying most of that stuff on the label, but there wasn't much conviction. So let me just add this up. Ralph has got 2, 4, 7, 8, 9. Nathy's got 2, 0, 3, 7. 7. So this is a 2-point game for Ralph.
Ah, bloody hell.
Back to those facts. Islay whiskies are not matured on Islay if they're made by Diageo. Whiskey originally from Ireland in the late 15th century.
Doesn't scan that well when you read it in those terms, does it? Bullet points.
Well, I think it's also when it was introduced to Scotland, which Joe was about 200 years out with.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of background there you got out of me as well about Friar Job Corps.
And David Hayman in what was the film?
Oh,
for an excellent trivia round, it's not going to help the anyone taking a lead in the game, but you get a point each. So this week's scores are 10 plays 8, no damp rocks and fish box bonuses.
Bloody hell.
So that's taking Ralph out to a 2.5-point lead, I believe.
You'd have thought you could have got some damn rocks and fish boxes in there.
No.
Well, as in, I can't, but you would have thought a whiskey is supposedly riffs on the sea bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure when our podcast is a massive hit, Old Pulteney will release a special edition, the Damp Rocks and Fish Boxes edition.
And all the others.
Well, and all the others, but in particular this one. 1, because you want to give it 4, and 2, because it's the maritime whiskey.
So is Talisker, because that's made by the sea.
Oh, I know. I'm just, I felt like saying it this week. What have we learned this week, then?
Old Pulteney's nice.
We have learned Ralph really likes Old Pulteney. I've never had much Old Pulteney and I think it's all right. And we still need to work on our poetry.
Yeah, I think that about covers it.
Well, what I would say is, my ploy for pre-scoring it with it before we knew what it was, I think that backs up my sense of Old Pulteney, which is that I like it. I wanted to give it a low 4, high 3, and I went for 3.
There was no contradiction there. You liked it when you didn't know what it was, and you were just buoyed on once you found out what it was.
Yeah. See, I think you're quite good at tasting whiskey. I think we are quite good at it, even if you can't get Old Pulteney to.
I think Fred has it right though. Like compared to wine, where notoriously wine experts are terrible at it. Whiskey, you know about it when it's not very nice and vice versa, because it makes no apologies, does it?
That's true.
But to be honest, these days I think we've established I could drink any old shit and think it's all right.
True, yeah. My sensitivity has waned a little bit over the years, but
I quite like Tesco's Special Reserve, just so you know.
It's not a bad drop, is it?
No.
Excellent tasting, guys. That was fun. We always finish with a couple of caveats. So first caveat is we don't really know what we're on about when it comes to drinking whiskey, but we're trying our best. And the second caveat is try not to drink too much. Alcoholism and the associated mental health issues are very real, and we're aware of that. We're trying to drink responsibly, but if you need some support, then go and talk to Alcoholics Anonymous or your local drug and alcohol services, or if you have no other option, then come and speak to us. I was speaking to a drug and alcohol counsellor only a week ago, which was quite interesting, and he suggested I had a few days off the booze, which I did, and I felt great for it. So I'd highly recommend that to anyone who thinks they maybe drink a bit too much. Otherwise, goodbye from me.
Bye.
Goodbye from Ralph and Nathy. It just sounds like we're doing University Challenge. It's terrible.
Do it again if you like, Joe. You've got editorial power.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later.
Thanks for listening. We do hope you're enjoying Damp Rocks and Fish Boxes. Please support the podcast by subscribing via your podcast app, telling your friends about us, and following us via Instagram and Twitter. You'll find links to do all of that on our website, which is at damp.rocks. All the very best for now. Sláinte.